NBA guru can't stop gushing about the young Pistons. On the latest episode of The Lowe Post, host Zach Lowe and his guest Kirk Goldsberry, two of the sharpest voices in basketball media, spent a good chunk of their show gushing over the Detroit Pistons. The topic was the upcoming race for the NBA's Most Improved Player award, but as the conversation unfolded, it turned into a love letter to Detroit's young core. For a franchise that has been stuck in the lottery for years, hearing national analysts spotlight not just one but multiple Pistons as prime candidates for breakout seasons is a refreshing and hopeful shift. Lowe has been a leading voice in NBA coverage for over 15 years, while Goldsberry has the unique perspective of being both a writer and a former executive with the San Antonio Spurs and USA Basketball. These aren't casual observers, they are plugged-in and credible voices whose words tend to carry weight across the league. So when they start naming Pistons as players to watch, fans in Detroit perk up. Detroit's young core finally getting buzz. It's been a long time since Detroit had a roster worth discussing on a national podcast outside of draft night. The Pistons have been rebuilding since 2020, stockpiling young talent through the lottery and trades, but injuries, poor fit, and coaching changes have kept them from truly turning the corner. Cade Cunningham, the number 1 pick in 2021, has shown flashes of star-level play but missed most of his sophomore season with a shin injury. Jaden Ivey was inconsistent as a rookie, though explosive. Jalen Duren, the youngest player in the 2022 draft, looked promising but raw, and Ozar Thompson, the 2023 lottery pick, immediately became one of the most intriguing defenders in his class. The results haven't shown up yet in the standings. The Pistons finished last season with just 14 wins, the worst in the NBA, which has made some fans question whether the rebuild is working. But in a player development sense, the foundation is quietly strengthening. That's why hearing Lowe and Goldsberry hype up multiple Pistons is such a big deal. It suggests that the broader NBA world sees the same potential Detroit fans have been clinging to. Ozar Thompson, defensive star in the making. The first name mentioned was Ozar Thompson, and Lowe immediately pegged him as a legitimate most improved player candidate. His twin brother, Amen Thompson of the Houston Rockets, was Goldsberry's choice, which made it even more fun to see both Thompsons in the spotlight. Ozar had an up-and-down rookie season, which is normal for a 20-year-old learning NBA speed. But what stood out was his defense. At 6'6" with long arms, elite athleticism, and relentless energy, he already looks like Detroit's best perimeter stopper. He guards multiple positions, crashes the glass, and disrupts plays all over the floor. The offensive side of his game is where the improvement could come. He's still developing his shot and ball handling consistency, but there were stretches late last season where his confidence grew. The Pistons believe that with a fully healthy offseason, after dealing with a scary blood clot issue in between years, Ozar can take a leap forward. If he adds even a reliable jumper or sharper decision-making in transition, he'll quickly become one of the league's most versatile young wings. Think of the trajectory of players like Mikal Bridges or OG Anunoby. Both entered the league as defense-first players but eventually developed into two-way forces. If Ozar follows a similar path, Detroit may have struck gold. Jaden Ivey, ready to explode. The second player to come up was Jaden Ivey, and his case for MIP is perhaps the clearest. Even with a frustrating stop-and-go season last year, Ivey looked significantly better than his rookie year. In just 30 games, he boosted his shooting percentages, especially from deep, and looked more comfortable next to Cade Cunningham. His speed and athleticism have never been in question. He can get downhill and attack the rim at will, but now he's learning how to balance that with control. The Pistons are giving him a much larger role this season. He's locked in as the starting shooting guard, but he'll also be trusted to run the second unit as a backup point guard. That dual responsibility could accelerate his growth. If he continues to knock down threes, improves his decision-making as a playmaker, and takes steps defensively, he has the profile of a classic MIP winner. Consider recent examples like J.A. Morant, 2022 winner, or Tyrese Maxey, who was in the running last year. Both players combined natural athleticism with skill development and role expansion. That's the exact formula Ivey could follow in Detroit. Jalen Duren, the wild card. Finally, Lowe and Goldsberry mentioned Jalen Duren, the Pistons' young center. At just 20 years old, he already looks like a grown man, built like a traditional rim-protecting big but agile enough to run the floor. Duren has shown flashes as a lob threat, rebounder, and even as a short roll passer. The question is whether his growth curve will be steep enough to put him in the MIP conversation. Skeptics point out that big men often improve more gradually, and Duren may already be playing close to his natural role, but there's still room for defensive growth. If he becomes a more disciplined rim protector and learns to anchor Detroit's defense, he could quietly be just as valuable as Ivy or Orza. Think of how players like Clint Capela or Jarrett Allen became cornerstones without gaudy scoring numbers. Why this matters for the Pistons. It's not just about awards. Having multiple young players mentioned in MIP discussion signals that Detroit's rebuild may finally be ready to pay off. When was the last time 3 Pistons players were even on the radar nationally for breakout seasons? The attention validates that the core, Cade, Ivy, Orza, and Duren, is not only talented but developing in the right direction. For head coach Monty Williams, who enters his second year with the team, this is exactly what he needs. His challenge will be putting these pieces together in a way that translates into wins. Detroit doesn't need to make the playoffs this year to show progress, but doubling last season's win total and competing in the play-in hunt would be a massive step forward. The big picture: the Pistons are far from a finished product, but the buzz from respected voices like Zach Lowe and Kirk Goldsberry shows that people around the league are watching. Orza Thompson could evolve into an elite two-way wing. Jaden Ivey has the tools to become one of the league's most dynamic guards. Jalen Duren may quietly grow into a defensive anchor. And let's not forget Cade Cunningham, the steadying star who makes it all work. For a fan base that has endured years of losing, hearing genuine excitement from national media is a reminder that the future might finally be arriving. The leap may not all come at once, but if even one of these young Pistons makes the most improved conversation a reality, it could mark the start of something special in Detroit. The Motor City has been waiting for a spark, and according to 2 of basketball's most trusted voices, that spark is coming, and it's coming from the Pistons' young core.